I live in central Alaska, a small town surrounded by undeveloped wilderness for hundreds of miles in every direction. During the winter, we get very little light, even during the middle of the day. This happened last year, in early February. Me and my friend Scotty were out snow machining about 3 hours away from town. We were relaxing and having fun for a day, not hunting or camping or traveling anywhere in particular. We had been out for a while, and it was cold and getting dark, so we started to head back. About 15 minutes in, my snow machine dies. No sputtering, no clunking, no outward signs before sudden engine failure. Scotty hears my engine die. He stops and comes back to help. We pop the hood and start looking around to see what the problem could be. As we do this, the sun sets and a darkness sets in. I pull out a flashlight so we can continue to examine the engine. It's not out of fuel. Oil is relatively fresh. No previous engine trouble earlier that day. We can't figure out what's wrong. I'm starting to get frustrated. It's cold, dark, and we're in the middle of the woods. We didn't bring much food beyond a few snacks, and we didn't bring a tent. We abandoned my snowmobile and attempt to two-man it back to town on the one remaining vehicle. No more than 5 minutes later, Scotty's snow machine dies under the same circumstances. While inspecting the second engine, I notice a pale light in the forest. It doesn't look like an electric light. It's not flickering like a flame. I point it out to Scotty, who looks, sees, and then goes silent. It's too dark to see him clearly, but I could see that he was holding his breath. After some time of mesmerized staring, we noticed the light was gone. It was as if it had faded so gradually we barely noticed it go. I try to return Scotty's attention to the engine, but he seems completely disinterested. He suggests that we seek shelter in the trees around us. I agree. We stumble through thigh-deep snow to a cluster of nearby pines, illuminating our path with flashlights. Everything around me is pitch black. The only thing I can see is the empty branches of trees and plants that fall under the eye of my flashlight. I was already frustrated, but as we were slugging to the trees, I suddenly felt as if ice-cold water was being poured down my back. Within moments, a very loud beeping, like on those emergency alert broadcasts, began to come from what seemed like everywhere. I shouted in fear and instinctively collapsed into the snow. I waved my flashlight around everywhere, freaking the fuck out, and the beeping wasn't stopping. My flashlight finally finds Scotty. He's standing still, about 30 feet away, just staring at me. His face is deathly pale. His flashlight had fallen into the snow next to him. In this moment, to my terrified mammal brain, he looked like a dead body being suspended by invisible meat hooks. I shout his name, but he doesn't move. He begins to open his mouth, trying to speak, but can't form words. Looking at him standing there like that was making me freak the fuck out even more. The beeping noise, which hadn't stopped, is now getting louder and more aggressive. It begins to sound more like a machinist shop, like angry grinding and scraping of metal on metal. My muscles felt like they were on fire, and they would barely respond. I forced myself to turn away from Scotty. The strange light was behind me now, gently illuminating the snow. What happened next felt like slow motion. There was a shape in the sky, only a few feet above the surface of the snow. It was oblong, wider than it was tall, with no exterior lights or details. It seemed to give off a very pale glow. Whatever it was large and completely silent. I recall being frozen in fear, completely paralyzed. My limbs felt like they were frozen tree stumps, immobile and unresponsive. The mechanized beeping noise rapidly became louder, overpoweringly loud. I tried to scream, but I heard nothing but the beeping, which had completely taken over my senses. I had tunnel vision. I could not look away from the shape, floating silently, no more than 100 feet away from me. In the cold darkness, this thing had seized complete dominance over all of my senses. My skin began to burn, and it felt like my bones were liquefying in my body. I heard Scotty shout as if from a great distance, and I heard 2 gunshots, muffled and soft. I thought I had gone deaf. At this, the mechanized beeping stopped with a horrific abortive grunting noise, and the shape silently ascended. The moment it got above the tree line, I couldn't see it anymore, even against the backdrop of stars. Scotty came up behind me, screaming hysterically, grabbing my jacket and pulling me along as he sprinted to the trees. We dove under the tree, kicking out a rudimentary snow shelter. Neither of us slept the entire night. We sat huddled in our hollow snow mound underneath the pine trees until the sun rose late the next day. We followed our tracks back to Scotty's snow machine, and it started on the first try. We drove back to where we had abandoned my snow machine, and it too started on the first try. The ride back home went by in a daze. Ugh, and repeat after me. We never talked about it again. Way. I don't know if anyone from around here has seen these things before, but this one's from more of a rural PA. Be 18 to 19. On my way home from work. It's about 1:30 a.m. Twisty back road following the river on one side, and a golf course on the other. See something up ahead on the shoulder of the road. Looks like a horse. Pulling closer to it, and it starts to cross the road. It's about the size of a horse, but its legs look like they were on backwards. Joints pointed towards the front. Covered long, shaggy, matted hair, and had a short, ape-like face, with no distinct features and white eyes that didn't reflect in my headlights. Start to hit the brakes because it stopped in the middle of the road. Another car approaching the other way. He stops, turns around, and books it the other way. The creature took off down a steep rock face towards the river. I just sat there, whatting for a few minutes, figuring I was seeing things from working a 10-hour shift. But wait, holy fuck. The other guy had to have seen it too. I never told anyone about it. But about a year later, my girlfriend calls me in the middle of the night, sobbing that she, quote-unquote, saw something take off into the woods behind her house. She says she was pulling into the driveway, and she described the same creature. She lives about 2 miles from where I saw it. I've tried to do research, but the only thing I found was the stilt walker from Texas. But it looks pretty similar, I guess. It's not paranormal, but it's haunted me since. Driving with best friend in a suburban area. Getting high. Being low-key in the neighborhood. The area was still being built, and some parts were empty cul-de-sacs. Which, by the way, is a dead-end street shaped like a balloon with homes making the outline of the curve. We drive the length of the cul-de-sac, and are aimlessly heading back the way we came. When we reach the cul-de-sac entrance, where the road becomes straight again, a cat is suddenly in the road, directly in front of my car. I swerve and stop. We look at the stupid cat and my friend goes, "Dude, we just got kitty-catted." Or some dumb made-up word. I see now that the cat is a cardboard cutout of a crudely drawn cat, attached to a piece of wood. My friend gets out and starts making a fuss. I guess he assumed it was young teenagers pulling a prank. He would never actually fight someone over something so dumb. He's just trying to look tough. I get out too and light a cigarette, and go around the passenger side and kick the cat over. The car was angled left and parked with both passenger and driver doors open. We hang around like that and smoke a cigarette, but no one shows. It was fairly late, so the houses were also lifeless. After a smoke, we kick the cat away and turn towards the car. My friend sits in the passenger seat, we were right next to it, and I go around the back. As I'm heading towards the trunk, I see through the rear windows into the back seat, and a man is laying half on the seats and half where your feet would go. I flip out and scream at my friend that someone's in the car. My friend first looks back, then jumps up and out of the car. The guy in the back got up really fast, and in a split second, jumped out of the car from the rear driver's side door and hauled ass down the street. We got in the car and tried to follow him, but he disappeared among the empty lots. I always check my back seat now, no matter what time or situation. It's around 11 p.m. or so, driving home after a house party. Party was held near this huge lake in the middle of the woods, so driving back through was dark as hell due to the foliage. Brights had been fucked for a few days. I didn't have time to see a mechanic about it. No brights means I can't see shit farther ahead. After about 5 minutes of driving, I look out my window and I see several white dots deep within the woods, floating above the tree branches. My first thought was fireflies. I mean, it's summertime. My next thought was glowing eyes. And now that I reflect on it, they looked almost as if they came out of an old cartoon, where you simply see eyes staring at you from the woods and jungle. I look back on the road and I see what appears to be a black mass in the middle of the road. Looked like a featureless silhouette of a large fat person. Before I can even react, I plow through the thing going 55 miles. KO.JPEG. It goes right over my hood, cracking my windshield in the process, and goes over my car. Slam on my brakes and look in my rearview mirror, trying to make out what the fuck I just hit. Small pool of liquid, similar color to the body, and it begins forming around it. Before I get out of my car to investigate, the thing starts getting up. It looks directly at my car, exposing its face. In the darkness, I could only make out the white glowing eyes, exactly like the dots I had seen beforehand. As I'm gawking at this abomination trying to get up, something lands on the roof of my car. Practically shit my pants as it makes a huge dent in my roof. Lock my car doors and floor that fucker. Another creature appearing strikingly similar to the thing I hit topples off and hits the ground. Both of them begin howling. Only thing I could compare this sound to is a goat being thrown into a vacuum cleaner. More howls coming from the woods as I tactically shit my pants and drive away. I can see several silhouettes like the creatures I described coming for the woods and towards my car. They're pretty slow, so I easily outrun them, or outdrive in this case. I see more of them on the road. I swerve around them. I almost flew myself into a ditch. After about 10 more minutes of this, I finally get out of the woods. I can see almost 30 some standing at the tree line, watching as I drive off. Arrive home. I explain to parents why the car is fucked. Tell them a short version of what happened, and they don't buy it. Yell at me and make me pay for repairs out of my pocket. Driving solo to visit Grandpa earlier this August. 20+ hour drive and too cheap for motels. But thanks to ADHD, I had me a bottle of Script Scraps to tide me over. It was monsoon season, and I was on the midnight leg of my drive, and the moon is waxing. If you've never driven through the Arizona desert at night, or lived in Arizona during monsoon season, then nothing can prepare you for how indescribably beautiful it is. Unfortunately, I was driving through New Mexico in that big stretch of nothing between Santa Rosa and Albuquerque. Still, I was the only car on I-40 that night, and the weak moonlight barely illuminated the flat desert around me. Every so often, lightning would light things up and make shit actually visible. I remember seeing a tall saguaro off to my right, just blacker lines in the night. I watched it pass by because highway hypnosis is no joke. The moment it passed by my passenger window, lightning struck off in the distance, and I saw this cactus clearly for the first time. It's like the instant this thing was in view through my passenger window, it was broken into 3 frames. First frame, something tall and thin standing about 20 feet off of the road, standing with arms held up to the side of its neck like it's doing the fucking YMCA. Second frame, a head flipping around from a long, stocky neck and peering down at my car. Third frame, the arms of the cactus bending down. Needless to say, I gunned it at 90 miles per hour until I hit Albuquerque, never looking back. When I got there, I actually told my grandpa about what happened, because I'm not some dumbass creepypasta protagonist. All he said was, if you got scared that easily, you probably shouldn't go around the superstitions at night. Then he fucking chuckled and kept drinking his beer. So, my question X is, what's in the fucking Superstition Mountains? Someone actually responded to this. Okay. I live about 30 minutes from them, and I've never heard of anything being in the superstitions aside from people mysteriously disappearing, looking for the lost treasure that's apparently hidden within them. Mysteriously is a pretty silly term considering it's the fucking desert, and very easy to get lost up there, with all the steep hills and shit. I've got 2 stories. Both of them come from a road trip where I was sleeping in the car. Lots of driving down unlisted country roads in the middle of the night, trying to find a spot where I wouldn't be bothered. These stories are from those occasions. Story 1. Turning onto country road I'm familiar with. Have stayed there a couple of nights while checking out the area. Usually deserted at this time. Turn tight corner. See a car parked up at the side. It's facing me and it looks empty. No fogged windows or anything. Wouldn't be too weird in the day because dog walkers and cyclists, but this is the dead of night. Slow down and have to pull up onto the grass verge to pass. Headlights shine into the car as the car tilts up on the verge. Suddenly see the driver and front seat passenger. They are not human. Facing forward, completely still. Huge black eyes, elongated faces, yellow skin, mouths stretched open so wide their chins almost vanish behind the dashboard. Abruptly look away, just focus on driving past. As I come alongside the car, I see two more in the back. All four of them stare at me as I pass. Get past, hit gas, and do not look back. I did not stay there that night. And story 2. Another narrow country road in the dead of night. This one has tall hedges on either side. Taking it slow because tight bends. Come around an especially tight one. Practically crawling along. Just as well, really, because right where that light from my headlight starts fading, there's a child. A child just standing in the middle of the road. It's a boy, and he looks about 3. What the fuck? I stop. As I do, child turns and begins running down the road. I'm obviously worried, so I move along after him, keeping my speed low. He keeps running, kind of like a rabbit. Panicky, jerky movements, darting back and forth to the sides of the road. Hedges are too high, though. He runs around a corner. I come around it a few seconds after, and he's gone. Nowhere he could have vanished to, because, again, tall hedges. No way he could have reached the next corner in those few seconds. Flip my high beams on to make sure. Nope, nothing. Drive out of there. Find somewhere else to stay. Start seriously thinking about motels. This one happened a few years ago. Be 21. Shit-faced with friends. Leaving Titty Bar in East St. Louis. Driving back to suburbs at 3 a.m. with 2 of my buddies. One in passenger seat and the other one fully passed out in the back. Miss on-ramp to highway, so I turned down side street to turn around. One-way streets, so I can't U-turn. Area looks like Iraq, so I'm driving decently fast because, fuck this place. I suddenly see a manhole with no cover a few yards in front of me, but it's too late. I try to swerve out of the way, but my tire hits it, and my car bounces hard. My car's driving funny. I must have blown a tire. Start to slow down. Friend in passenger seat screams to drive. He screamed it with a panic you've never heard before. I hit the gas, driving faster. He's screaming to go faster and to fucking drive. In the rear view, I can barely make out a guy dressed in black, calmly walking out of the darkness into the street. I floor it. My car is completely fucked, but the situation is dawning on me. Take 2 lefts back onto Main Street. Drive a few blocks until I see a lit-up parking lot. I get out to change my tire. My hands are shaking and I can barely get the lug nuts loose. A cop flashes his lights and pulls up next to us. Wants to know what the fuck we're doing out here. Friend tells him what happened, and he confirms our suspicions. Some motherfuckers took the manhole cover off so I would blow a tire. They wanted us to stop, so they could ambush us. 3 years ago, driving down a haunted road at 2 a.m. with 2 friends. Nothing particularly spooky going on. Decided to turn around and start driving home. Slowly driving down the road, when it begins to look like the road slowly unfolded itself, like a pop-up book. Assume I'm just tired. Friend makes an inquisitive noise. Ask her what's up. I just saw the road unfold itself. What? .jpg? Friend in the back seat confirms he saw it too. Let them know I also saw it. Drive all the way home, tense with fear.